Yeah, so my name is Maeve Cox and I'm running for the 2016 Shannon elections. I did my undergraduate degree in German politics. I did my postgraduate degree, then I did a Masters of Philosophy from Trinity College Dublin as well. I then went on to become a barrister. I'm a practicing barrister now 5 years, so I have a good handling, I've got legal expertise, and I think that is absolutely crucial to the Shannon.
If elected, what would be your priorities for this term?
The main thing and what I'm really passionate about, this is my second time running, so I ran in 2011 as well. This is my second time running and I'm really passionate about, I suppose, what's central to my campaign is equality, the notion of equality and real equality in Ireland, not just this notion or rhetoric or anything like that. And I suppose three specific ones that I've chosen that I'm very passionate about, that are really important in Ireland are gender equality, our age discrimination, and then also I really feel that we need to have the emigrant vote, especially after the economy, what's happened in the last number of years. So many Irish people, young Irish people, have been forced to emigrate and leave Ireland, and they want to come back to Ireland, they hope to return, and they really should have a vote and a say in how the country is going to be shaped into the future. For starters, I suppose, in terms of fees, I think we should have free education, third level education. Again, I suppose in many ways that can come back to equality as well. Everybody, regardless of their background, where they're coming from, should have and does have the right to an education, to include a third level education. I'm opposed to fees being charged, and they've been creeping up and up by way of registration fees and all this kind of thing, and it's not on. I think everybody should have access to that, to third level education. I think the Seanad is absolutely crucial and central to modern politics. I really do, especially in this era at the moment. Remember, the Seanad was designed to be a system of checks and balances on the Dáil. Okay? Without that, who's keeping an eye on them? Who's scrutinising legislation? I think it's absolutely central. It's crucial as well. By way of amendment, there are changes that can be done. Seanad reform, yes, it should happen, and it should happen so that it's more effective. For starters, I think there's been so much talk about the fact that only people from very limited universities can actually have a vote on the university panels. But in fact, there was a constitutional referendum that was held in 1979, which in fact changed that to open it up to all graduates of third level institutions. The government never gave that effect at all by way of legislation. They didn't implement legislation to give that effect. And I suppose since the last referendum in relation to abolishing the Seanad, the country very much voted no in relation to that. They didn't want to abolish the Seanad. And again, Kenny at the time said that he was going to give priority to implement a bill. Now there was a bill talked about, but it's pretty much gone into the ether now to give effect to that referendum. And he said that he was going to do that so that it should be in place by the next election. Here we are, it hasn't happened. So yes, I think that should happen. Legislation needs to be enacted properly, effectively and quickly in order to give effect to that. And I think that would be a good amendment.
Right.
Well, I think they should give effect, first of all, to the referendum and the change in the constitution on foot of that. And that should be done quickly. Like I say, there's been so much talk about this. In 2011, when I ran on the last occasion on the Trinity panel, everybody was talking about Seanad reform. Where is it? You know, why hasn't this been implemented already? In addition to that, I think what's important is, and why the Seanad is so central as well, you have to remember the purpose that it was designed for. It was to be a system of checks and balances on the Dáil as well, okay? To scrutinise legislation going through, to make suggestions, to make referendums, all this kind of thing. Senators can initiate bills in the Seanad. That can be done. For example, Dan Neville was the senator in, I think it was the 1980s, and he was responsible for actually introducing the bill that ultimately decriminalised suicide. So it has a really good role, it has a central role in that as well. And the fact that it's made up by the different panels, remember, it's not designed to mirror the Dáil, okay? If it was elected in the exact same way as the Dáil, then it wouldn't really have the effect that it does have, and that it can have even more so as well once certain changes are made to it, because it has to be elected within 90 days of the dissolution of the Dáil, right? So if that was to happen and everybody can vote in the exact same way in the general election, it's just going to mirror the Dáil, so it's going to reflect pretty much exactly what's going on with the Dáil, and it's not going to then be an effective system or mechanism for a system of checks and balances on the Dáil. Are you following me?
Yeah.
So I think it's important that we do have different panels. However, the way those panels are elected, I think, needs to be opened up. It needs to be changed. I mean, there's county councillors electing different panels. There's all this kind of thing. You have to lobby your county councillor then to get certain people elected, and based on all the different panels. I think the Taoiseach's nominee is certainly something that can and should be looked at as well in relation to his 11 nominees to the Seanad. So I think there's lots that can be done, but I do very strongly feel that the Seanad is central to our system of politics and to having an effective system of checks and balances in place. I suppose I was quite an active student, a social student as well, in terms of the extracurricular stuff. I think, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was very much involved in the canoe club when I was in college. I was involved in societies like that. Yeah.